Hello and welcome to episode 244, need I say more, of the Veeam Community Recap. Probably the last one of the year. I am in normal circumstances this week. Don't tell anyone at Maddie. I'm on PTO, but they're paying me anyway, so I'm just going to come on in. How are you doing today?
Hello, Rick, and hello, community. Yeah, I'm doing well. And indeed, you are on PTO. I was surprised to see you in the office, but Rick, as you go. And yeah, you mentioned something like it might just be the last
I think so.
episode of the year. This is crazy. Where did it go?
You know what's really wild, Maddie, is this year, I like it went so quick. I really don't even know if it happened. It definitely
Exactly.
happened, but wow, man. And it like the work stuff, the life stuff, the product innovation stuff. I mean, it is going fast. I call it Veeam speed, and buckle up. It's going to be 26 isn't going to be any slower. I'll tell you that.
It's gonna be a second, probably. As I told Safia, this has been a very long, short year. That's how I
Very long.
feel.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Very long, short year. 2025. Yeah, this like I am already on PTO, but sometimes for me, and I don't, everybody takes time off differently, but like my littlest one's still in school, so like my early part of my morning routine is still the same, right? But like next week, I'll really kick into kicking off in the sense of I'll be switching off, and it just takes me a while to kind of wind down. And we got some first of the year stuff we're scheming, so there's things I'm in low gear. That's the phrase I'm using, low gear.
Yeah.
Working through PTO, but yeah, I'm still having great lunches, doing shopping. Got like I went to the bank and just do all these little bits and bob errands that I usually never get time to do. So yeah, hopefully, Maddie, you take some time off as well.
Yeah, luckily we do have a few public holidays next week and the week after and the week after. So I will have, I think, 8 days altogether. So that's great.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, we get compulsory 3 or 2, and then 1/2 plus 1/2. I can't remember, but I just
Yeah.
take the whole block off because for me it just really goes quiet. But surprisingly, the community is not, and I was. Sometimes we just never know. The middle of summer, you'll see a quiet point, but this point of the year, no, we're not seeing a slowdown.
No, I think people have more time to do stuff, personal, and things that they are passionate about. And this is, right, community is passion. So I think people just take the time to write blogs, create content. So that's fantastic. And talking about that, I think we have some amazing piece of content today.
That's right. As it goes, friends, Madalena has prepared a incredible block of content for us here today. First up is Andrea.
You
No,
said it right
the
before. It's
big
Antonio. Yes.
Antonio de Andrea. I start with the last name, Maddie. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Antonio de Andrea. Backing up NetApp shares with me. Best practices. By the way, new profile picture. That's what threw me off. All right. Anyways, what caught your eye about this post, Maddie?
Yeah, we were talking about this a bit earlier, that long blogs is not always German trademark.
Mm,
Our Italian guys proved to write also very long articles. So I noticed it as well with Marco Fabri when he used to be super active at the hub, and also with Link State, with his step-by-step guides, and Antonio as well. And yeah, it's great. It's great to see that. Very thorough, and good information. And back to Antonio's article. He's walking us through an implementation of a NAS backup strategy using Veeam Backup and Replication 12.3, integrated with NetApp on top 9.14.1. And in this case, he actually uses a star model to structure the content, which makes this uh, flow easy to follow. And the core challenge he talks about is actually protecting 11 terabytes of unstructured data across 25 NFS shares, including Oracle Raman dumps and PostgreSQL backups, while making sure there is a consistent backup via NetApp snapshots. There is a minimal impact on the production NAS, immutability through a Linux hardened repository, readiness for future replication to Azure Blob storage. And then when we look at this solution, we can see that it combines a Windows-based NAS backup proxy, and then NetApp API integration for snapshot-based reads, a dedicated cache repository for metadata and change tracking, and share-level NAS backups with filters, retention, DDoP, and compression. So Antonio goes deep into configuration details. That's why it's so long. Permissions, ports, proxy setup, cache repo, job creation, and then he ends with some measured results, and then he's showing the acceptable performance and going over the successful restore validation. So I think all in all, this is a solid article. And I really like the emphasis on the immutability part as well as the ransomware resilience. What do you think about it?
Well, any post that has 42 screenshots is going to get our attention. So first of all, thank you, Antonio, for this content. And here's the thing, friends. This is a completely end-to-end, designed, architected implementation that obviously he's gone through. And I do indeed like, sometimes, especially let me go down to the, you were talking about it, RMAN. So the critical information here is that we're talking about some Oracle RMAN and Postgres databases. And, sometimes you're like, well, why don't we just use the native? Well, sometimes DBAs won't like that. They want to put their file in a place and then they want backup people to protect it. So many ways to protect databases. This is really, really good. So this is a nice one to keep as a design. Now, if you're not using NetApp, you could probably, make this work across different storages other than NetApp. But what also catches my eye, Madi, is it's not so much 11 terabytes, it's 25 shares. That's the crazy part, right? So it does make this whole NAS backup approach appeal a little bit more, but really good use case there. Thank you for sharing this, Antonio. And, it sounds like you had to kind of negotiate with like DBAs and stuff. And, for those watching this, very handy implementation for that use case. All right, next up is Sir Scottalot with a really interesting topic of storage snapshots in Veeam as a good combination situation.
Yeah, I always like to read his articles. He's always coming with something different, so I like that. And then, yeah, as you said, in this blog, he explains how storage snapshots, when integrated with Veeam backup and replication, evolve from a SAN-only feature into a fully managed recovery point inside the Veeam console, using IBM Flash system as the example. So he shows how Veeam can, trigger application-aware storage snapshots, mount the snapshots to a proxy and backup from the snapshot instead of production disks. And then he presents snapshots alongside traditional backups, enabling instant recovery, file level, application restores using the same workflows. And there are some key use cases he's covering. The snapshot only jobs for ultra-fast short-term protection, hybrid jobs that combine local snapshot restores with long-term retention on Veeam repositories and Sober, and then using snapshots as a source for shoreback, test labs, patching, forensics, and SAN managed immutable snapshots still discoverable and usable from Veeam. And I feel like Scott is doing a really good job in talking defense in depth in here. and immutability on the storage layer combined with immutable Veeam repositories, all managed through a single interface, as well as clarifying a point that is, often misunderstood, and we always talk about that. The snapshots don't replace backups, but they massively enhance them when properly integrated. So I think he managed to do all that in this article. So hats on, really great article in there, Scott.
Yeah, that's right. Snapshots are not backups, but they can be used as part of your backup and overall resiliency strategy. And in the two kind of difference-making parts are right here. Sure backup, as you highlighted, Maddie, and then also these high-speed recovery techniques. If you've got some big data expanses where it was truly an accident on the production environment, and coming this quick back from a storage snapshot, that can be very, very attractive. So thank you very much, Scott, for rocking this post out. And, even though this is IBM FlashBlade, but I feel like a lot of these learning principles, you could take this over to the NetApp conversation we just had for virtual machine stuff versus NAS and database stuff, right? So you can take this learning to a lot of the different storage platforms. So thank you so much for sharing, Scott.
Awesome.
All right, next up on the roster, new name to me, but Maddie knows what's up, Timo, with a great write-up about Veeam backup and replication version 13, implementing the SAML authentication with the Authentik SSO provider, which that one's new to me. What caught your eye on this one, Maddie?
So it's great to call Timo's name in the show again. I think we did like a month or 2 months ago, maybe we called him in the show. And yeah, I have a strong feeling that Timo is going for the legend status in 2026. He's been pretty active in the forums and in the community hub. So let's see how that goes. Looking forward, to see how the leaderboard looks like. But yeah, going back to the article, Timo is actually sharing a technical guide in here, and he's showing how to integrate Veeam Backup Replication v13 with Authentik as a SML identity provider, basically offering an alternative to Microsoft Entra ID. And he starts by explaining, that Entra ID is commonly used, and we saw a lot of cases and discussions around this topic at the community hub. It's not always the recommended to connect Veeam directly to production Active Directory or a primary corporate IDP. So to address this, he tries to demonstrate how to use Authentik, which is basically a lightweight open source self-hosted IDP. And what is he covering in here? So he's explaining of Authentik versus Entra ID, highlighting the control, the privacy, the on-prem operation, the creation of Authentik SAML application and provider, and configuration of ACS URLs, signing certificates, assertion signing, importing SML metadata into Veeam v13, mapping external users or groups to Veeam roles, verifying SSO login in both the Veeam web UI and the client, basic troubleshooting guidance on both the Veeam and Authentik sides. And the result is a working SSO setup without relying on a cloud-based or production identity platform. And I think this is a good piece of content, especially, that now with Veeam v13's SAML support, that is kind of pushing admins to rethink the authentication and how this should be handled. So I think it's great and different from what we've seen at the hub. And yeah, what do you think, Rick?
Well, I think, first of all, you hit on something super important, Maddie, that there's been a lot of discussions around keeping the Veeam infrastructure separate from your large production estate, from an identity provider. And it can be as simple as a different fabric for authentication there. It could be as more complex as a true SSO provider, but then separate from, say, what most enterprises use of Entra ID for authentication. So this is actually very interesting. I could see this kind of emerging as an identity fabric for resiliency, for infrastructure, for data platforms, in the sense that it's completely separate. Because I'd also go so far to say, and this is, I think, very defensible, for this part of the infrastructure, you want the absolute highest, most complicated logins. Like, for example, I upgraded my V13 environments at home. My passwords are this long. But you know what? I don't want anybody messing with that stuff, even if they're in. I got to assume that they, can get in, and passwords are one thing, but multi-factor and single sign-on, you want that as complicated as it can be for this infrastructure, but you don't necessarily want that across the estate of every user, right? So anyways, I think this is great, Timo. And you actually got me thinking, maybe I should put that up in my home lab just because I want that level of authentication. So, and I love that it's open source. Sounds like it's free as well. So that's always a plus on this show. So thank you so much for sharing, Timo.
It's worth trying it, right? So
indeed. All right, next up is Christopher Glamont from South of France / Monaco, one of our vanguards in the Vanguard blog Spotlight, building Dell Cyber Recovery Sanctuary with Veeam Recovery Orchestrator. Interesting play here because we get a lot of people asking for this. So what caught your eye on this one?
So first of all, I think this is the first time we are calling Chris in the VBS. Not in the show, but in the VBS.
So many times for VUG France, but for VBS, I think you're right. At least that I've worked hosted with you, I think so. Yeah.
So just want to congratulate him because he made it to VBS. And yeah, as you said, he's discussing how one can build the Dell Cyber Recovery Sanctuary using the VRO. And that's what is that basically is how to create a secure air-gapped environment where your most critical backup data is protected from cyber attacks. And he goes over concepts like immutable backups, data diode protection, even a clean room where workloads can be safely restored after malware checks. And VRO, he says, like VRO is actually bringing everything together by automating the recovery testing, compliance documentation, and one-click recovery. But what I really like in this article is that the focus is not only on restoring data quickly, but it's more about restoring it in a safe way as well. So that's where the focus goes in this article. I really like it. So great job, Chris.
Yeah, and so those of you who don't know, Chris is one of our longest running vanguards in the program, a practitioner that implements solutions for people. This is a proven solution. So this is really built on a use case that a client of his likely has had interest for, and he's just sharing the architecture. Really good stuff. Thank you so much, Christopher.
Totally.
All right, next up in special department news, a little bit of a takeover, corporate takeover. So if you go to Veeam.com, you'll see, hey, Impossible AI made possible. Well, what's going on? Well, we have closed the acquisition of Security.ai or Security AI. We announced that publicly in October of this year, really excited for that. And you'll start to see, those of you in the community, start to see some messaging here on the website. Make no mistake, friends, resiliency isn't going away. What I think you should really think about is kind of right here, where we got like different parts of our portfolio, where there's our data security, data resilience conversation, which we've already had. And then there's this new element of our platform or our portfolio that comes from the Security AI acquisition. Now we'll have more to share around integrations and stuff like that, but like the 300 connectors that they have with understanding data, holy buckets, this is going to be wild. We're super excited. More to come, but just start looking at some of this information that we have on the website, just letting you know that the deal closed. We're all across the business super excited about it.
And I'm sure, Rick, when we get back from vacation in January, I'm sure we might just have some content related to security AI. We already kind of mentioned because, when we discussed about it, we announced it. I think some of
October.
our
Yeah.
Veeam hundreds, they already kind of took the information and, they shared it on their blogs and stuff. So we kind of already shared a little bit in the recap, but I'm sure it's going to be more, and I'm very excited about that.
Now that I'm thinking about it, what we need to do, Maddie, is probably get in front of it and make like a AI space, a group, because
We will.
that group doesn't really have a community strategy like what we are doing here. So the natural motion is to expand it in here. So that may or may not be something on our February big meeting topic, but still working to get involved with the teams, map it out, who's who across it, because it's actually quite a big company, over 600 folks there. So more to come there, but yes, it's reasonable to expect we'll also activate in here. All right, speaking of amazing community stuff, we have a winner from the blog contest for the Veeam 100 Summit contest that you were running, and it looks like it's Jan.
Yeah, so you guys might remember from a few weeks ago, we had this contest for Veeam 100 and VUG leaders that participated in the summit, where we asked them to create and share their experience about being part of the summit. And we had 23 amazing articles that were ready, on time, because after the contest, I saw people share more. But yeah, one of those got like 49 votes.
Yeah, that might be a record number of votes.
I know, right? 49. That was Jean from Brazil. He's a legend and the VUG Brazil leader. And then on the second, it was Mateus, also from Brazil. I think he got about 30 or so. He's here in the pic. Yeah, 30. So that's really fantastic. So congratulations, Jean. Congratulations, everyone, actually, that, shared and put their story in there. I definitely, again, recommend everyone that doesn't know much about Veeam 100, doesn't know much about the summit and everything we do with this program, to go over some or all of this great piece of content, because you going to find out a lot and good information.
Well, I think also there's a small battle amongst Brazil for this, which is
Always.
one of the strongest country markets for our community. So congratulations to everyone. But Wolf Mateus, Jan, let's watch that one for next year.
It's
All right.
Mateus Giovanni, not
Sorry.
not Mateus Wolf.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Goodness.
Mateus Giovanni is second place, and Jean is the winner with 49.
I'm so bad about this, Maddie, because it's like you see an avatar, you see a username, you meet the person, and then you see their name on LinkedIn. I got to put all four of those together. Sometimes it's hard.
I know, right? And it's the same name.
Yeah, well, you spend a lot more like operational time in the community, so you, of course, are going to have that a lot better than me. So sorry about that.
That's fine.
All right. Last up is from Nicola on our team, letting everyone know that nominations for the 2026 Veeam Vanguard class are open. And this is different because the Vanguard program, it's a nomination, whereas when we talked about, like with Timo, we're talking about qualification on the Legends path. It's strictly from the metrics of the platforms we use. But this is another path, and the simplest way to explain that for Vanguards is, that really high level, top level of Veeam advocacy on someone's own platform, and like their GitHub, their blog, their podcast, their other platform, and nominations are open. So curious to see what we get.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to start telling a lot of stories now, but as you said, Vanguard is one of the 3 programs part of the Veeam 100 program, together with Legends and MVP. And honestly, we really heard throughout the years. I've been 4 years with Veeam. You've been 15 years with Veeam?
Over 15, yeah.
Yeah, you started Vanguard program 2015. And since then, we heard so many stories about these programs changed how people grew in their careers. And it's about real passion for the technology, for sharing the knowledge, being curious about, about the technology, and the fact that Vanguards and together with legends and MVPs can directly influence the product direction because they have direct access to product managers and engineers. I think this is rare, right, in the IT world nowadays. So
Yeah, we carry some very high levels of satisfaction on the program from the members that we survey.
yeah,
It's super unique, but it's a massive investment. It's a massive opportunity for the folks that qualify for this. And there's some fun. Here's the picture coming up here was our celebration that we had at the Pilsner Urquell Tap House there in Prague. First of all, we got to go to Prague, brought everyone in. The access here, I feel kind of bad because the Veeam 100 get better access to our product teams and the broad stroke employees that we have here at Veeam, but they've gone above and beyond, and that's really the real takeaway. And here, this last picture on the bottom is the annual picture. Cannot happen without the picture, and I don't even think everybody fit in, but that is the whole group. Let's see if I can do a little bit on that. Yeah, there we go. So that's the whole group. Product management, Vanguards, Legends, MVPs, above and beyond user groups, women and allies in tech, my team. Madi, did I forget anybody?
I think you kind of hit it all. But yeah, you know what's funny? We always start taking the picture and we take one more, and somebody comes in and they are like, I want to be in the picture.
I'm late for the picture.
Yeah. So we end up with like 30 pictures.
Yeah. All right. So when one of the most important things here, this is what we need to know. The nominations are open until 10th January 2026. So you have some time, but don't be late if you want to be in there. And if I'll offer one tip for those who are nominating, don't just say my LinkedIn. That's kind of a table stake. What we're looking for is this above and beyond advocacy, so just as a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, you hit a good point in here, Rick. It's like if you are blogging, if you are a public speaker, if you have a podcast and you talk about Veeam in general, I think you have a good shot and you should jump and you should go and fill out that application form, or you should nominate someone that is doing that. But yeah, ideally you wouldn't just share a link to LinkedIn or just a link to your blog, just share a little bit more, just be a little bit more specific so we don't have to look over all the internet to find your work.
And if there's if you go through the link that Nicola has there, there's one question of, is there any Veeamer that can speak to your candidacy? Definitely put that in there, because sometimes there's some things we don't know about. There's some not public things which actually are super valuable, like in private referrals and stuff like that. So think about all those avenues. But good luck to everyone, and we'll probably come back when the class is accepted and share that milestone. So thank you, Nicola.
Yeah.
And know who's new this week, because Sophia is taking some very, very well-deserved vacation. She'll be back into January.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Madalena? Did I forget any of the news or the stuff? What's going on?
I think we covered all, but I think we have to also wish people happy holidays. Enjoy some rest and some peace with your families. And we will definitely see you in the next year with new content from our community. I'm sure people are going to share a bunch, and with some fresh forces from us as well. And I mean, it has been a great year. It has been, as I said at the beginning, along with a lot of good things happening in the community at Veeam, and really looking forward to 2026.
Yeah, likewise. Happy holidays, happy New Year. However you celebrate, even if, take away the proper holidays. I think everyone who goes through a year celebrates just making it through, like, for example, today I set a personal record You know what that record I set is, Madalena? Number of consecutive days alive, right? Hey, personal record, right? You got to celebrate the little things, right? So, yeah, I wish everyone just, be humble, be grateful, be thankful across, what we deal with, but also be curious, be hungry, be persistent, right? Work and try to succeed and achieve in the areas that, you have the responsibility and the opportunities. So, and we're grateful. We are so grateful for our, I like to use the word, big community, not just the Veeam 100. We're grateful for so much more of our community. In fact, the Veeam 100 wouldn't be possible without the bigger community, right? So super grateful for our community. We're unique and we're very, very fortunate in that regard. So thank you all. All right, we will see you all with 245 in 2026 in January. I gotta think we're going to break the rule.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's coming.
Yeah. So permission ahead of time to break the rule. So on behalf of the entire community team, I know Maddie and I do a lot of this, but Sophia's always behind the scenes doing stuff. Nicola is always doing stuff on the other program, and then collaboratively across. And then Madalena, I want to thank you specifically. Big push all the time. It's never too late to ask you a question. I feel bad, it'll be like 1 p.m. my time, which I think will be +7 or 8 for you. I still get answers. I feel bad. I'm in that bad boss category, I think. So.
Nah, I think you are in the good one. That's okay. Thank you as well, Rick. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a great position. It's great to have the opportunity to work with so many amazing people. So, as I said, really looking forward to a great 2026.
Indeed. All right, everyone. That is it for 244. We will see you next time, next year on 245.